Welcome to the Grow Your Practice podcast. Hi, I'm your host, Chad Madden, owner of Madden Physical Therapy and Breakthrough. Join me each week as we dive into the best practices, systems, principles, tips, and tricks to help you grow your private practice. Hi, everybody. Chad Madden here with the Grow Your Practice podcast. And today we have a very special guest. Marie Schultz is everybody's favorite private practice business manager. She has been to most of the breakthrough events in the breakthrough community for some time, always willing to share, help other owners. Welcome to the podcast here, Marie. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks. No worries.
Great. So can you go through and tell everybody a little bit about your practice, how long you've been involved in private practice PT, where you're at, and just tell us how you got here?
Sure. So I started with the Thomases back in early 2019 and came on board, and I answered an ad that she was looking for a rock star business manager. And so I answered her ad and said, look no further, your rock star is here, and got hired. So looked at the business. They had been in practice for about 35 years at that point, and we're basically just looking for an office manager. But my skill set is for business operations. But that was okay. I'm headed toward retirement. I'm on the downhill slide, and I just wanted something nice, easy peasy to get me to retirement. So the first thing I noticed when I came on board, they had Randy and Sarah were the owners, and then they had one other PT in this huge 5,000 square foot facility. And I thought, okay, well, you're losing money. And then I kind of looked at their processes to see how they were running the business and what was working and what wasn't working. And after about 2 weeks, I met with Sarah and I said, you're leaving money on the table, and showed her the different things that they were doing incorrectly as far as billing and maximizing their fees. So that first 6 months that I was there with them to the end of the year, I found them about $80,000 without changing anything they did except maximizing fees. And then subsequent year was 2020, and put a lot of things into practice the first of the year. They were a little nervous, and I said, that's where everybody raises prices, and you go to the beauty parlor and it's $20 more, and things like that. So I said, the only person the people that are going to know the difference are the people that are on current patient load. New people coming in the door, and they were seeing about 20 to 30 IEs a month. I said, those people aren't going to know any different, so it's not going to affect them. That they're not going to turn around and say, oh, well, you used to charge X and now you charge an X. So just showed them ways to move forward and increase profitability. The first thing she did after I came on board, I think you were having a breakthrough weekend up in Colorado or someplace. Oh, Chicago, that's where it was. And Sarah took me up there, and then I saw the benefits of your program and knew how to implement them. I was kind of joking with Sarah, you were up at the podium drawing a bell curve.
Yeah.
And so I leaned over to her and I said, okay, now he's going to draw it in half, and then he's going to put quarters. She's like, what is this? I said, it's Six Sigma. Don't worry about it. I know what he's doing. And so I'm familiar with processes through my Six Sigma training. And that's what I utilized here at the office to help them increase their profitability and put together their exit strategy for them to retire when they wanted to retire, and help them do a exit plan, and worked backward from there.
Cool. So can you give everybody, before you were in private practice, how did you get your business background?
I've either had my own businesses or I've run other people's businesses for them in different capacities. So throughout the years.
What are some of the industries that you've been in?
Dentistry. My friend George back in the early 90s had a dental practice in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And, his revenue stream was about $40,000 a month. And he said, Marie, help make me a millionaire. And I'm like, okay, no problem. This is what we got to do. And so we put processes in place that are almost similar to what you do with Breakthrough, And there was a company called, I think it was Whitehall down Arizona, that I had him sign up with, and it was bonuses for staff, and how to do closings on the phone, and ask closing questions and things like that. So it was really good training. So we took all the staff down there to get them trained. And I told him, I said, give me 3 years, and in 2.5 years we achieved goal. And I said, okay, I'm out of here. He was a friend of mine, so I helped him with that. I've also had my own businesses. I had the Balloonatic, which was a balloon decorating company, and we did singing telegrams, and we did balloon decorating, and set up some exclusive accounts with big hotels and resorts in our community. I also owned an Italian market and deli and restaurant in Idaho, and we were Business of the Year in 2010, which was a hard feat to get. Everybody wanted that, and I said, well, I'm going to get it because I know what it takes to be Business of the Year. So, and it's a combination of doing what's right for your business, and making your business profitable, but also community development and staff development. Every business that I've had that I've built up and then sold for a profit, my staff were always like, call me when you start something else because we want to work. I've always had loyal staff stay with me for years.
So you mentioned the word process a couple times, and you have with your history, you've implemented processes in multiple industries.
Mm-hmm.
You see, you come to our events, most of us as practice owners, we're clinicians. We
Mm-hmm.
aspire to do what you do, which is work on the business
Mm-hmm.
and develop systems and processes, but we're stuck. We're almost handicapped because we can treat, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to get pulled back in and not take the time or not know how to work on the business. So can you talk about when you first came in with the Thomases back in 2018, like one process that you saw that needed help? You talked about the pricing. Perhaps you can think of another one with personnel or with marketing or with finance, and how you leveled them up and you helped build a better process for them and ultimately
Okay.
more valuable practice.
So the first thing that when you own a business, any business, whatever it is who's the face of your business? You may think as the owner it's you, but if you're not out there greeting every person that's coming in your front door, you're not the face of your business. It's that front desk person.
Yeah.
And it's that cashier behind the counter. That's the very first person that interacts with the public is the face of your business. So you want to put processes in place that's going to make that person sell your business for you. And you want to empower them to. One of the comments I would get from people was, oh, I thought Marcia owned the business. Well, Marcia was my front desk girl. No, I'm the owner. And, so they're presenting your company to the public. That's the first person that people meet. And I would always tell anybody that I ever worked for, and I would tell you guys, is that front desk person, you got to pay the salesman. You can't have a front desk person and give them minimum wage and expect them to do magic for you, because you're not putting a value in what that person is. So you have to look at your people and say to yourself, what is the value of that person to me and my business, and how will that person help me succeed? Because ultimately you want to surround yourself with people that are going to make you succeed in business. So even though you're a clinician and you just want to treat patients, make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are going to make you successful. But you got to take care of that person. So I always say, pay the salesman. It's a little phrase I've always used for the 40 years that I've been in business.
Cool. So you fixed the front desk when you first came in.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I just want to call out and emphasize is you are 100% cash-based practice, correct?
Correct.
Great. And was it that way in 2018?
Yes, they had been a cash-based practice for 20 years at that point.
Great.
However, what they were doing incorrectly was, if you're a cash-based practice and you don't accept assignment with Medicare, there's a separate fee schedule that you can use. They were using the fee schedule that was the lower reimbursable rate one, where you accepted assignment. So that's what they were charging the patients, as opposed to the limiting charge fee schedule, which you're allowed to use, which is about 35% higher in charges. What does that mean for the patient? Well, if by the time they got their Medicare reimbursement at the reduced rate and their secondary reimbursement, they were probably only out of pocket $10 to come see us. So that's how I would present it to the patient. And then, and then build value in the practice. This is what you're getting from us. You're getting steak, not a hot dog, and treatment.
Yeah. So I know at our events you've shared how you can remedy a lot. So the thing that most practices are faced with today are the declining reimbursements because we're fully participating with insurance companies and allowing them to dictate what we're worth in the marketplace.
Mhm.
At the same time, we have upward pressure on cost, whether it be employment, space, equipment, etc. In your model that you have right now, you seem to have, you can stay ahead of the curve more diligently. Since 2020, how many more times have you been able to raise your rates?
Twice.
Okay.
I raise as little bits here and there. Plus, I also added in different things that we can do for cash-based services that the Thomases did not have. So when Megan purchased the practice from the Thomases, I had her purchase a laser. I had her go take dry needling courses. I just had my second staff person go and take that, so that we're doing things that are cash-based services that we can add on to. And then the dry needling for Medicare this year, they're allowing reimbursement for if you do have a diagnosis for low back pain. It was in the Medicare handbook that they would do. And the reimbursement isn't that great, but it's something that you can bill for if you're doing dry needling. And if your state doesn't have dry needling, it will eventually. Go take the class, and you have to have about $200, 200 hours of observation. So take the course, do the observation, and then by that time your state should have it on board and you're ready to go. You'll be the first one on board because you have everything done already.
Before we continue with this episode, here's a word about our next event, the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit.
Private practice owners, are you tired of declining reimbursements and shrinking margins? Join me on July 18th for the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit. It's a value-packed, free, online live event where you'll discover strategies that you can put into action in your practice to boost your revenue per patient and enhance your practice's profitability. You'll hear from industry leaders and private practice owners like Mark Callanan from Innovis, who will be talking about how to increase revenue with cash-based services. And Sterling Carter of Sterling PT and Wellness, who was able to increase his reimbursement rates by over 15% with providers. With more than 8 speakers, 5 hours of actionable training, and hundreds of practices in attendance, you don't want to miss out on this game-changing event. Click the link below to register today, and I'll see you there.
Thank you for listening this far. Now, back to the episode.
Great. Yeah, I know Pennsylvania is very slow to adopt that as well. Not in our practice act yet that I know of. You had in the prep work, you talked about finding opportunity in chaos.
Right.
I'm a huge fan of. Can you talk about that and maybe go walk us through an instance where you use that in practice?
Sure. When COVID hit, everybody was in a panic, and then the governor here closed everything down except for essential services, which we were under that umbrella. And so I took the Thomases aside and I said, listen, I know you hired me as an office manager, but I'm actually a business manager, and I can steer you through this. And if you let me steer the ship, all I want you to ask me is how fast do I need to row? And so they trusted me to do that. And so what we did was, you have to think outside the box. People are scared, but they still need treatment. They still need help getting back to better health. So we offered going to their homes. I had them take their patient lists and every day call people so that their patients heard from them at least twice a week. How are you doing? Do you need me to come over and do some PT for you? Here's the things that we put in place at our office so that you're comfortable coming in if you want to. And so they either took us up on that or not. And then the other thing I had them ask the patients was, what can I do for you? Do you need me to go to the grocery store? Do you need me to go to the drugstore for you? And the people are listening into that going, what? And so you need me to go to the grocery store. I know you're scared, but I'll go to the grocery store. I'll wipe down the bags. I'll put it on your front porch. So you need milk, bread, you just tell me and we'll go take care of you. And people were so appreciative of that little extra step, that we only lost, we got down to about 48% loss, and that lasted for about a week, and then it shot back up. One patient alone referred 29 patients to us.
Wow.
Because of that one small, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
So
That's
goodwill.
29. That's a
lot of money.
Yeah. What did you do to take care of that person for all those referrals?
I tried giving him gift cards. He wouldn't take it. I offered him some, different treatment things that we could do. And he was just so happy that we could help his friends and help him through that scary time. He didn't want anything, but I'm like, whatever we could do, John, whatever we can do, really appreciate that. And thank you for the referral. And so.
Cool. So confession for you, I've never been through Six Sigma training.
Okay.
Consciously, maybe I read, I think Sam Carpenter, that I learned processes from, had probably done that, but yeah, but I know you're a wealth of knowledge. Any other trainings that you've been through in your business that dramatically affected your career trajectory?
I took a lot. So one of the programs that I was a part of back in, I'm going to date myself, the late 80s, was the Junior Chamber of Commerce, the JCs. And they offered a lot of individual development programs. So I took public speaking, time management, communication skills, spiritual dynamics. I was always constantly learning different things to better myself and how I can implement that. And my favorite person to read and follow is Norman Vincent Peale. And I love all his work and his trainings. And so I constantly read and reread his books. So.
Awesome. What's your favorite Norman Vincent Peale book?
Power of Positive Thinking.
Good one. That's great.
So.
Very cool. So you talked a lot about that, and with and I know you're heavily involved in the marketing component as well.
Mm-hmm.
You're running workshops, you're doing a lot of work with Breakthrough and taking care of your patient list and everything else. Can you talk us through how you think about marketing your services, and especially when you're cash based, you're able to raise rates and everything, and yes, you have the add-ons. Can you talk about how you think about marketing for your private practice?
So every year in October, I sit and I put together the marketing calendar for the next year. And I look at what's coming up each month to, where I can promote my business for profitability and how many people can I reach. So I require each of my PTs to do one captured audience workshop a month. And
so can you explain what that is? I know what it is, but can you explain?
The captured audience workshops, I don't task people knowing, I know my people and what they need to be successful. So I put together a list of every church, synagogue, city office, police department, fire department, gym, health fitness club, places where they can go, Parkinson's group or the senior center, yoga classes. I put together a list, and they have that on their desk so that whenever there's a hole in their schedule, like Megan had 2 holes in her schedule for last minute cancellations today, she knows that she's going to pick up that list and make a call to see if she can schedule a workshop outside of the office she just did like a yoga class last Saturday, which gave us 2 IEs from that. So I put things together on that marketing calendar for the year on how are we going to focus and move our practice forward. So and I believe in community involvement also, and attaching ourselves to charitable type events, because it puts your name out there, and it's good for the community and it's good for the office to be part of it. So we did like a Parkinson's walk. We had a team, and then we did a presentation to the Parkinson's group a couple of times last year to generate possible patients. And I always tell people, even in our workshops, a lot of people can't afford cash out of pocket. And so I just make sure I tell them that whether you come here or you go somewhere else, the most important thing is that you take care of your health and you get better. But this is what you're going to ask for when you go somewhere else. And so that they're making educated decisions and being their best advocate. So I put all of that stuff together in my marketing plan, and then I share that marketing plan with the staff and get everybody on board with it. And we just move forward. And then I stay on top of it every day. So
You had in here that you once almost got fired by Randy.
yeah,
What happened?
Randy was not a big fan of Breakthrough, but Sarah saw it as, a great opportunity. And so I can be a little bossy. I always go into a job, it's like, what's the worst they could do? Fire me? Ask me if I care. I'll just go into something else. I mean, I not that I think that highly of myself, but I know what my skill set is, and I know I'm a benefit to whoever, has my attention for that span of time. And so he was mad about something that I know what it was. You had set out that pyramid and where the breakdown is in the pyramid and he was the breakdown in this one part here. And I nicely pointed it out to him. I mean, I was like, get it in gear. I mean, you're spending, $50K a year. If you don't want to follow the program, that's fine. Just give me the $50K and I'll blow it. I mean, duh. So he dug his heels in, and he was not having it. And he says, well, I just think I'm going to have to let you go. And I'm like, yeah, no. And he's like, what? And I'm like, you didn't hire me, so you can't fire me. How about that? And I said, talk to your wife. And I walked out of his office.
And what happened?
I'm still here. I said, actually, I have a card here in one of my drawers. I sort of thank, even though you make us crazy, we appreciate everything you do for us. And, so.
Yeah, he was always great.
Yeah, no, he was a good guy, but.
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, so the practice is profitable today. You're continuing to move in the right direction. Can you share with everybody that you're not originally from Idaho, correct? Where you're originally from?
Okay, so I always start out with, I was created in Sicily, and then my mom moved to New Jersey when she was 7 months pregnant. So I was born in Jersey, but when I was 10, my dad asked to get stationed back in Italy. So I was there till I was 16, and then got back to Jersey, but I'd already seen the world, and I thought, well, there's more to the world than Jersey. So when I was 20, ended up moving to North Idaho. I wanted mountain, lakes, trees. I literally opened up a map of the United States atlas, if anybody remembers what those were, and said, there's where I want to go, and got the U-Haul and left. My mother thought I was crazy. I had 2 little girls at the time, and she's like, you've never been there. You don't know what's there. I said, well, if I don't like it, I'll just take the southern route home and see if I find something better, and stood there. We were there 40 years. So we just moved to Florida 7 years ago. So
that's great. So Schultz is not your Sicilian name?
No, Bonaventura.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mine is Manfredo, is the
Manfredo. Yeah.
Sicilian side. So very nice. That's great. And I'll ask you one more. I know you already mentioned Norman Vincent Peale. Any other book that is, let's say, the most influential book that you've read for private practice that has helped you out the most?
Not necessarily just for private practice, but for business in general. Yeah. I'm going to say a dirty word, Trump's book. I followed his business principles from 25 years ago, 30 years ago, yeah. And his work ethic that he described in there, and how you want to be successful, and to not let anything, even if you have a misstep, how to recover and move forward. I've used his business principles in what I do. And if that means I have to stay up 24/7, 7 days a week to get the job done, it's good. That's what I do.
Yeah.
So
Great. Awesome. Well, I don't know if I'll be able to get a signed copy of that for you, but I'll do my best, Tina Marie. Very much appreciate you. And any other words of wisdom before we sign off here?
just if anybody ever wants to pick my brain, I'm always available. They could reach me tms@thomasphysicaltherapy.com and just shoot me an email or send me a message on Mighty Network, and I usually respond pretty quick.
Awesome. Well, very much appreciate you, Tina Marie. You're great. Thank you for sharing all your wisdom and experience here.
All right. Thank you.
Private practice owners, are you tired of declining reimbursements and shrinking margins? Join me on July 18th for the Revenue Per Visit Virtual Summit. It's a value-packed, free online live event where you'll discover strategies that you can put into action in your practice to boost your revenue per patient and enhance your practice's profitability. You'll hear from industry leaders and private practice owners like Mark Callanan from Innovis, who will be talking about how to increase revenue with cash-based services, and Sterling Carter of Sterling PT and Wellness, who was able to increase his reimbursement rates by over 15% with providers. With more than 8 speakers, 5 hours of actionable training, and hundreds of practices in attendance, you don't want to miss out on this game-changing event. Click the link below to register today, and I'll see you there.